And thank you, first of all, so much for your time, all of you guys, for hopping on and hanging out with our weekly interview. Maybe a new thing. We'll see how this is going to roll. I think my husband's going to be next, by the way. So you guys may have seen Brigitte on the call. I met her kind of met about 4 years ago. Well, it's been 4 years ago officially. Been 4 years ago officially, whenever she started talking to me and she friended me, and we met in a Zumba private group on Facebook. She was a Zumba instructor. I was a Zumba instructor, obviously struggling with my weight. And there's a whole backstory to that. So that's how I met her. And it took me months, like she's my coach, and it took me months to sign up with her. And I was telling Andy the other day, she asked me how I met you, Brigitte. And I told her, when I tell this story of how I met you and how I interviewed you and all that stuff, I always told her how you make a gaggy face.
That's because I was like, girl, move on then. You're not interviewing me, I'm interviewing you.
But I am truly thankful for you and your grace and your patience in that. And I also told her, Andy, watch this. I also told her how I bought my PIO DVD on eBay and you let me in your group.
I did. You said, I guess I followed up with you and said, hey, how you're doing? You told me that, you were interested, whatever I said to you. And you said, yeah, I actually bought PIO. I know. I bought it on YouTube or something. And I was like, oh, good Lord. She did not. No, she didn't. And she did. But I liked you. And we were friends already, even though we didn't even really know each other. And so I don't remember how I just kind of slid you into the group without any commitment or anything like that. But yeah. I don't really remember.
Yeah. It may have been a free group. I don't know. But yeah. I think that sometimes God puts those things in front of us to show us that what we're currently doing, first of all, is bad for us. Answers to our inner thoughts, to our inner desires will come. And I think as a Christian, I am responsible to take care of my body. I am responsible for that. But anyway, I was taking a lot of pills and a Thrive patch, because everybody knows you can get nutrition through the skin. Just kidding. But some of the stuff that I went through and I believed, and when she first asked me, I'm like, oh, I'm taking this and I'm taking this and da-da-da. And I was so proud, but at the same time, I wasn't where I wanted to be. So Brigitte lives in Maine and I am in Illinois. And I asked her if she would be willing to let me do an interview with her to share a part of her story. Especially, this is really good for Mondays because in our group, it's called Mom Tip Mondays. And we have changed that from Motivation Mondays to Mom Tip Mondays because there's so many moms out there that's struggling with a lot of things that I know Brigitte struggled with. And so I asked her a couple of questions and she's going to answer that in her own way. And so if you sit tight and hang out with us and comment on any questions or think about any questions along the way, be sure you ask her. She's been around for quite a while, for a little over 4 years, close to 5 years. So go ahead, Brigitte. Thank you so much for hopping on the call with us.
You're welcome. I just changed my name at the bottom because I noticed that it said Jason Schlosser, who's my husband. Like I say, every time I, chat with anybody on any of these calls, I always say, I don't want to take up a bunch of your time. I know that your time is precious and it's evening and you probably have little kids. And so it's already 8:13. So yeah, I guess I'll just start at the very beginning. Super quickly, I was always a really small girl forever. I'm only 5'2", And if you know Casey in person, I'm actually shorter than Casey, even though I try to pretend like I'm taller than her. And so I'm small, like, you know, and so I had my 2 kids and just kind of like started packing on the pounds. And for a short 5'2" girl, where do you gain all of your weight, or where did I gain all of my weight? Right in the midsection, right there in my butt, in my thighs, right around my belly area. And immediately that shows up on a short girl, you know, like I can gain, you know, between 5 to 10 pounds and just look completely different. And it's not about how you look, but for me, it was how I was feeling. I was doing things like finishing my kids' food, and it was like kid food, you know, like mac and cheese and hot dogs and pizza and things that I would make for them. And if they didn't finish, I would just finish it off for them. And it was a slow progression of packing it on. And like I'm talking about over the course of several years. Um, and it got to a point where I was feeling really discouraged because my top button of my own jeans wouldn't button. And I had a daughter, well, I have a daughter, but at the time she was a little girl who wore like elastics in her hair, and I would have to make like a little makeshift button tie for my jeans. And I was like, you know, or I would wear this big frumpy shirt so that that little makeshift button thing didn't show. And it was one like November, we went on a trip to Nags Head, North Carolina, and we went with our friends. So it was like 2 families, our family and their family. And this was like before cell phone camera. Like I'm totally aging myself right now. This was before you could just like take a picture on your phone and like post it right to Facebook. We were taking pictures with a camera, okay? And so we took like a ton of pictures of us on the beach and of us visiting, you know, what is it? All of the things that you can visit in Nags Head. I can't think of any of them right now. The 2 brothers who invented the airplane, right? The Wright Brothers Museum. Anyway, we took all the pictures. And so when we got home, all of those pictures that my husband took, because I never, like I would be the photographer and take a lot of pictures, but he also took a lot of pictures. He dumped them all on his Facebook, and they're there now. Like I know that you guys aren't friends with me on Facebook, but you can go check out my album on Facebook. And I think it's called Nags Head or North Carolina or something like that. And I took one look at those pictures because, okay, let me just back up a little second. I didn't have a full length mirror at my house. Like it wasn't necessarily on purpose. We just didn't have one. And we're living in this old house in Maine, and all of the mirrors were like super tall, like super tall. Like I had to like do this to even like see what my shirt looked like. And I'd be like, cool, I look fine. So I never really looked at myself, and I knew that I had gained weight. I couldn't button my jeans, you know, and I would just kind of give myself one of those. Anyway, when all of those pictures got dumped on Facebook, reality struck fast. And even though I knew I had gained weight, it was shocking to me. Like I didn't realize I looked like that from behind or from the side, or, you know, I didn't feel like me. So this is never for me about, you know, vanity or any, of course, as women, we all want to look pretty, right? But this was more about like, holy cow, like I don't even feel like me. Like I just want to be able to wear my own clothes, and my own clothes weren't fitting me. And so it wasn't like a comparison game. Like I wasn't trying to fit into like, you know, Susie down the road's clothes. I just wanted to fit into my own clothes, and they didn't fit anymore. And so I'm like taking a really long time with that introduction, but I didn't know how I was going to make this change, but I knew that something had to change. And my husband and my son went on a trip to Africa. And I determined in my mind, while they're gone, I'm going to lose weight, because I knew that I could do it. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I knew that I could lose weight. And so he was gone for 11 days. And while he was gone for those 11 days, I lost 13 pounds. This was before Beachbody. This was just me on my own, making a decision to stop eating my daughter's food. I stopped eating like, you know, desserts. I stopped drinking soda. I stopped drinking, you know, so I knew like some of the basics, like, you know, like common sense basics. And so I just kind of like changed that, like just dry. And I lost 13 pounds just like that. And he came home, he gave me a hug from Africa, came home, gave me a hug, and he was like, how much weight have you lost? And I was like, yes, I did, So I just continued on that way. Like, I just decided, okay, like, I've got this momentum going. I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing. And slowly I started to educate myself, and I started to not just eat, like, if you were on the call with Mariah a few weeks ago, she said like she was eating less than a 9-year-old girl was eating to sustain herself. And she kind of was joking, and I'm kind of joking that I kind of was like doing that and feeling really good about having lost that weight. But as I said, as time went by, I started to educate myself a little bit and start understanding, what good foods were good for me. Just doing my own basic internet research on my own, and stopping. I knew that I shouldn't be drinking soda or juice, started drinking water. I knew that I shouldn't be picking off my kids' plates, stopped doing that. I knew I shouldn't be eating so many desserts if I wanted to lose weight, stopped doing that. So just like those little basic things. Fast forward. I decided that I lost 35 pounds doing that, just like making my own way through making better food choices. That was it, all by myself. Nobody, just alone. And it was hard. And I look back now and I think, imagine if I had a Casey on my side, cheering me on, showing me how to do this. How much faster my progression would have been, and how much better I would have felt about myself. And I wouldn't have had to have gone down all those crazy roads of like trying all of this stuff. Like, I didn't do the stuff that Casey described. I didn't do any of those pills or patches or wraps or anything like that. But I certainly did a lot of trial and errors and trying when I didn't, when I could have made it a lot easier on myself. So let's see. I then decided, after I lost the 35 pounds, I was like, things are kind of like really loose now. And I was like, I probably should work out, because I read that, like, again, nobody was there telling me. I was like, I probably should exercise now. So I joined a Zumba class, loved it so much, became an instructor. And that's when everything changed for me, which is really funny and interesting. I started putting weight back on while I was a Zumba instructor, because I was in my mind, I had this idea in my mind, like, oh, I'm doing Zumba, I'm doing cardio, like whatever, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, I can eat whatever I want to eat. And that's exactly what I did. My kids were a little bit older, so they weren't necessarily eating like all that, kiddo stuff anymore, but I was still just like eating, kind of going back to stuff that I had been doing in my mind, thinking I'm exercising, so I'm all set. Wrong. You cannot out exercise a bad diet. So I know firsthand that, what I'm doing now with these portion control containers works if you actually do it. Even recently, even as a coach, I've gone back and forth with my weight a little bit. I lost my mother last February. She passed away like very suddenly, like within 6 days she was gone. And what did I do? I went right back to what I knew, which was, eating and just kind of like filling that void in ways that I shouldn't, but I was still exercising. And even though I knew the knowledge, I still was like, well, I'm exercising, I should be okay to eat this or eat that. Or like, if I couldn't sleep at night, which was happening a lot to me, I would come downstairs and totally just start snacking on stuff that I should not be snacking on. But in my mind thought, well, I'm exercising, so I should be all right with this. But I was wrong. Just like I was wrong the first time when I was doing Zumba, I was wrong again when my mother passed. And I kind of went off on a little tangent there, and I wasn't ready to talk about that yet. But where am I at, Case? I'm kind of like lost right now.
You're out eating a bad diet or outworking a bad diet.
Yeah. I mean, I just think, if I knew then what I know now, which is the whole package, which is, eating according to your nutrition plan and matching it with an exercise program and partnering it with the accountability and a team like what you guys have, those three things together, you know, the support is the magic pill. That's the magic pill. That's the magic wrap. Not any of that other stuff that gets, you know, so mixed up. And I think we overcomplicate so much in our minds. And as you guys are either just first learning about Ultimate Portion Fix, or you've already been eating according to the container system, or even To Be Mindset, both of those programs are amazing if you actually do it. But if you are actually not doing it and you are thinking that you're doing it, or you're doing it halfway, you're not going to get the kind of results that you're really looking for, whether it's weight loss, weight gain, or just even maintaining your weight. So I feel like I probably should have written some stuff down, because I'm sure there was more I wanted to say, but I can't think of it right now. I don't know if...
Okay, because I have a couple additional questions that I wanted to ask while I have you on. What was the first official program that you started with Beachbody, by the way?
So because I was a Zumba instructor, the way I met my coach was that I wasn't even friends with her on Facebook, but my husband Jason was friends with her because she worked with him. And she was doing a like a live video, I think, if that even existed back then, like 4 years ago. She was doing something, maybe she was a recording of herself doing size. Size is like a dance fitness Shaun T workout. And she had written, you know, in the post about how she's doing this workout and there's a way to make money by helping other people with this. And Jason called me inside the house and he was like, hey, I want you to see this. A friend of mine is doing this workout that looks like Zumba to me, and she's also helping people to do it, and she's earning money. And I was like, what? Like, what is that all about? Like, what are you talking about? And so I checked it out and I got on the phone with her that day. And this doesn't even really answer your question. I guess it kind of does, but it's longer than what you asked me. Got on the phone with her and she was like, oh, you're interested in Zumba? You're a Zumba instructor? You are going to love size. And I did. I liked it. It was a lot like Zumba. It was a lot of like, you know, not choreographed steps kind of. And it was hard. It was really, really hard. But that was my first program. And I didn't do it from start to finish, because I was still in the wrong mindset. I was still, you know, teaching Zumba classes and kind of doing size. And back then they gave us the DVDs. There was access online, but I didn't access any of it online. I accessed it on my little DVD, which was so crazy.
I signed up with DVDs. I hear you, that they didn't have it, the on-demand access super cheap like they have it now. My second question of the three is, what is your favorite program?
My favorite by far right now is Bar Blend. I did Bar Blend when it first came out and got amazing, like totally changed my body. Like, I know that that's so bizarre, but it was coupled with how I was really watching what I was eating. I was matching the container system with Bar Blend, but just the definition that I got, the strength and the balance. Like when I started Bar Blend, I did not have the balance that I have now, and just the core strength that I have now is all from that. I'm actually doing a mashup of Bar Blend and 10 rounds right now. This is just a 21 day. Yeah, 21 days. I have it all, you know, figured out with the 2 calendars, and I love it.
Kind of like boxing ballet.
Yeah.
Boxing ballerina. And my last question, I think it's really important. We could have people watching the recording, someone sitting here, or either watching live on Facebook, as well as someone on your team. And I know that you're a coach. And what would you say to someone, that one woman who is struggling eating food off her kids' plates, feels like she has to finish their food. It costs money. They're really struggling to decide or commit to our virtual fit groups. You have a virtual fit group. You know, we talk to a lot of people. What would you say to that one woman who is struggling and also hiding behind her kids and their photographs?
I would say I know how you feel because I was you. And I also think that it's overwhelming to think that you have to have this all figured out. Or, I hope that my messaging tonight showed you that I didn't have this all figured out right away. I'm talking about this is over the course of like 7 years. And that's not to say that it would take somebody 7 years, but before I got the support of a coach and before I understood nutrition and before I understood workouts and how all those three things work together, it was messy. It was very messy for me. And I think that's how the average mom is right now, like if they're just trying to figure this all out. And so I would say, be easy on yourself. Don't expect to have this all figured out at once. But number two, you deserve this. Like if you're hearing this, if you're seeing this on the recording, or if you're seeing this live on Facebook, then take it as a sign from God himself that this is your time to make a change for yourself. And realize that you're worth it, and that it's okay to ask for help. Like it's okay to say, you know what, I don't have this all figured out. Like I don't know how to do this. And a lot of that stuff that I said I went through was really just prideful on my part, because I didn't ask anybody, or I was shy. I think I didn't want anybody to know that I was trying to lose weight or whatever. I was just doing it by myself. But there's such power in these communities that Casey has and that I have, that the camaraderie that you gain with other women, the ideas and like the questions that others might pose that you're like, oh, I had that same question, but I didn't even think of that, or I didn't even think to ask that. There's such power in these groups, and there's power in that three: the nutrition, the workout, and the support. Like it's the Trinity.
I like that. That's awesome.
Not very irreverent of me.
No, I think that's perfect. Does Andy or Jackie, you guys have a question for Brigitte?
What was the easiest way for you to balance everything between, like home with kids and make sure you're working out and getting your nutrition in? What was the easiest way, or the
Yep, I'll tell you that right
the
now.
light bulb.
Yep, the light bulb moment, I will tell you right now, it was waking up 1 hour earlier than my whole family. That was my light bulb aha moment. And I read a book called Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. If you're not familiar with that book, I strongly suggest you get it. If you're not a reader, get the audio. It's very much worth it. I would never recommend a book. I'm not a big reader. I'm more of like an audio listener, and this book was amazing. Just even if you don't even read the entire book, but you Google the concept of what the Miracle Morning is, it changed everything for me. I know that sounds really cliche and really, really corny, and I never thought that I would like say something like that, but it is God's honest truth. I used to wait for my kids to wake me up. And then I would get up and I would be grouchy and mad, and I would go straight for my coffee, and I would just eat like whatever because I was PO'd that I got woken up by my kids, right? And so like, how terrible of a mama, like when you think about that, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. But waking up 1 hour before anybody else is up gives me an opportunity to sit down in complete silence and peace, drink my own little coffee, which by the way, I started this new routine as of like 6 months ago. I drink 16 ounces of water before my coffee. That's something for another time. But I drink my 16 ounces of water. Then I drink my coffee, and I have my own personal times. Like, I don't know, like, what any of you guys, what your beliefs are, but I have my time of meditation and prayer. I have my time of just complete silence. And during that time, I'm able to just say to myself, like, okay, like, here's what my day is going to look like. And, another thing is, the night before, I think about, like, how my day is going to go. I used to write it all down. I don't write it all down anymore because it's been a long time. It's been like 2 or 3 years almost that I've been doing this. And now I know, like, exactly what I'm going to do. And it's become a habit. And so the more you do something every single day, it becomes a habit. And when you don't do it, things just do not function well. And so the other thing is that I work out in the morning. Like, I used to be like, oh, I'll work out like later or whatever. And I don't have little kids anymore. And I know that those of you who have little kids, it's something totally separate. And I applaud you guys for even doing it. But I would say, if you can get it done earlier, the better, even before they wake up. Like, maybe it means, like, dare I say, waking up an hour and 30 minutes earlier than your family. Or maybe it's just an hour. Maybe you take 30 minutes to yourself, and you drink your Energize, your coffee, and you read, and you just kind of, like, are in silence, and then you just hit that workout and get it over with. It's going to become a habit in your life that you will always just do, and you'll just thank yourself because you're doing something for you.
Yeah.
And happier mom, wife, friend, daughter, sister when I started doing this for me.
Yeah, I love that you asked that question. And I want to affirm, like, everything she said is true. I've never stayed consistent in getting up this early. Now I'm doing the opposite. I'm choosing when I want to sleep in. And if I sleep in, I go through these series of questions. Okay, what is my day going to look like if I actually wait to get up at 7? And then that means I'll probably hit my workout by 9 o'clock. I'm eating lunch at 1. I'm behind the ball. I'm just behind the ball the whole day. So if I get up at 5:15, I feel way better. I don't spend as much time on my phone, like scrolling. You can do it, and it makes me late for everything. And that's partially probably because we work from our phones or we work from something electronic. But it's easy to get caught up rather than get up, eat your breakfast, Casey, drink your water, do the next stinking thing, and quit dragging your feet already. You're a grown adult. I should be past some of this stuff, but I feel way more successful. And one of the things I was listening to this morning, you have got to be hungry for those results. You have got to be hungry for moving forward. You have got to be so hungry that you got to be more hungry than you are tired and you want to hit the snooze button. You've got to want change as much as you want to breathe. And that means doing the things that you don't want to do. You're stepping into fear. You getting up an hour early, but you're going to be successful. That's what successful people do. They get up earlier. They do the hard things because that's what makes you tough. That's what creates success. Everybody can sleep in. We're not everybody, okay? I'm just saying. And it's turned over a whole new leaf for me. So I'm going to just get off that soapbox for a minute before I get loud when I get excited, okay?
And that's just like, like what I mentioned about getting the nutrition and everything right. That didn't all happen overnight. That's like a slow progression as well. Did I miss something?
I think she said, when aren't you loud is what Jackie said.
I think she's right about that, Case.
I'm just always excited. God says do things to the best of your ability. You do it skillfully. I do loud and excited skillfully.
Yeah, you do.
But anyway, that was something I've been listening to, was these motivational talks in the morning while I'm working out or while I'm walking around. Those get me. I'm like, oh, this is so good. Oh, this is so good. Like all of it is so good. rather than listening to music and things that's going to drown out something I need in my head. I need to know that we want change and we want success, especially as a coach. This job is so hard. It is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. A challenger and a mom and trying to get healthy is not for the faint of heart. It's easy to go through the dollar menu at McDonald's. Like, stop it. That's not real food. Stop it. I'll just tell everybody to stop it. Okay, but you've got to want change as much as you want to breathe. If you were suffocating and someone had a bag on your face, guarantee you're going to come alive a little bit. Okay? You're going to come alive. So this is your time to come alive. And I say that because our month is Beast Mode Month. That is our theme. Beast Mode Babes is Freedom Nation's team theme for June. Yeah, somebody can testify up in here. I have no more questions.
Well, thank you. Thanks for letting me in and for recording it. I'll share it on in my team page. And yeah, I appreciate it. It was nice to meet you guys. I've heard some things about you guys, and I would just say keep doing what you're doing. Sounds like you're doing a great job.
She's like, you best believe we are. Jackie's face expressions tells everything. I feel like I can narrate a whole movie on her face expressions. It's so cute. But anyway, thank you so much, Brigitte. I love hearing
You're welcome.
I love your wisdom. You guys friend her on Facebook, follow her on Instagram. She shares a lot of good stuff, especially about nutrition. I know she's passionate about it. It's Brigitte Lisa Schlosser on Instagram and Brigitte Schlosser on Facebook. So you want to connect with her, watch what she's doing, be inspired by her, follow her on her social media platform. She does an amazing job. She's an amazing woman, and she pushes forward when life gets hard. And I love you, girl.
I love you too. Thanks, Case.